celebrate the wedding of Don Marie Kinsel and David Benjamin Bowie. I'll introduce myself in a moment, as well as get down to business. But I'd like to begin with an invocation of sorts from an ancient text, older even than the Beatles. It was written in the 1st century BC, and is the only known work by the Roman poet and philosopher Lucretius, not very well known. It is titled simply On the Nature of Things. Lucretius was an atomist, and this means that he argued long before modern physics that the entire universe is just made of little bits of matter, and that we should understand everything that happens as the result of the joining and separating of these little particles. Indeed, the whole point of the book is to defend this position and banish from the mind of any reader the superstitious belief in supernatural interventions, and yet, oddly enough, he begins this very work with nothing other than an ode to Venus, the goddess of love. This is what I would like to read to you. I think it is fitting for this setting in the woods and for this occasion. Mother of Rome. That part is not so relevant. Life-giving Venus, it is your doing that under the wheeling constellations of the sky, all nature teems with life. Through you, all living creatures are conceived and come forth to look upon the sunlight. Before you, the winds flee, and at your coming, the clouds forsake the sky. For you, the inventive earth flings up sweet flowers. For you, the ocean levels laugh. The sky is calmed and glows with diffused radiance. When first the day puts on the aspect of spring, when in all its force the fertilizing breath of the westerly wind is unleashed, then, great goddess, the birds of air give the first intimation of your entry. For yours is the power that has pierced them to the heart. Next, the cattle run wild, frisk through the lush pastures, and swim the swift flowing streams. Spellbound by your charm, they follow your lead with fierce desire. So throughout the seas and uplands, rushing torrents, verdurous meadows, and leafy shelters of the birds, into the breasts of one and all, you instill alluring love, so that with passionate longing, they renew their generations, kind after kind. So here we have an atomist, enemy of the mystical, singing his love song to love itself. I think this is not just curious, but deeply important. Whatever we think the world is made of, whatever we think love is made of, we cannot help but succumb joyfully, helplessly to love in its many forms. And we find ourselves, especially on days like today, thankful for it above all other things. Love will seize us, it will lead us, even command us, and without ever fully understanding it, we follow. And so, here we are. We were brought here by love, brought into this world by the love our ancestors had, and the love of the parents who made us and raised us. Deanne, I'm not sure where you all are, I didn't find you there. Brian, Mike, Lori, there you are, yeah. Susan, Charles, thank you for your part in the loving that brought us here. And we were brought right here, look at these plates, by Don and David, who summoned us because they love us. And we love them, so we followed. And of course, at the center of our gathering, shimmering right here before us, the main event, Don and David's love for each other, as gigantic and wondrous as the forest around us. A spell has been cast on all of us. May the spell never break. And so, with Lucretius, we ask for love's continued guidance. He writes one more line. Since you alone are the guiding power of the universe, and without you nothing emerges into the shining, sunlit world to grow in joy and loveliness, yours is the partnership I seek in striving to compose these lines. Let us too, today, seek the same partnership as we commence our ceremony. If love brought us here, may it also accompany us, even pierce us to the hearts, as we witness and celebrate the union and usher Dawn and David into their new sunlit world to grow in joy and loveliness. My name is Andres Colapinto, and I've been friends with both of these characters since slightly before they were a couple, ever so slightly. In fact, I met them both at David's bar, which is also where they met each other, right? Because I wasn't there for that little piece of history. But let me share my first memory of their relationship, actually the very moment I learned about it. There's not very much to the story. It's really just about one instant, a look they quickly flashed at each other. But that look still hangs vividly in my mind years later. And that's more than I can say for most things that happen at a bar at 3 a.m., including parts of this little story. So there must be something to that look. The three of us were alone at David's bar. I had stayed past closing time. This was a new privilege for me and one that I delighted in. It had been a while since I had made a new friend, a true friend, and it was a time in my life when I needed one, and here I was with two. I remember meeting David before that and thinking, who is this bizarre creature? He could lead a mini seminar on Zen Buddhism while shaking cocktails to oblivion, his hands ablaze with glory. Who can listen so generously and carefully to what you have to say without letting you get away with any BS. And I remember meeting Dawn and thinking, who is this bizarre creature? Who laughed like a maniac at your jokes while thinking 14 steps ahead of you, and with calm eyes always ready to notice life's little wonders. Whatever they are, I remember thinking to myself, this is the company I seek. So we're sitting there. Three relatively new friends, all of us single, or so I thought. Because at some point, and this part is a bit fuzzy, Dawn, or maybe David, said something or other. Something about a plan they had together for the upcoming weekend, or something they had done together the weekend prior. In any case, something very date-like. So I, raised an eyebrow. And Dawn just smiled and said, yeah. Or words to that effect. Yeah. Well, this was a surprise. I actually had not seen this coming. But then it seemed like a perfectly good arrangement, so I raised my glass in approval, and since maybe it was my third or fourth or fifth, the most I could muster was, that's really great. Just great. Not a triumph of rhetoric, but what I meant was, you are two wonderful people, everything I learned about you I like, and I'm delighted by this thing. How great. And then Dawn looked over at David and said, yeah, it is kind of great. And David looked at Dawn and nodded and said, yeah. As I said, not much of a story. And I may not have all the words exactly right. But there was that look. I really do remember that look. And I do think of it as one look, even though two people were involved. How can I describe it? It was the look of two people saying yes to each other. It was a look free of all hesitation, and yet slightly surprised. It was dead serious, as in, this is for real. And highly amused, as in, is this for real? It somehow said, it's so good to be home, but also, what is this strange place? It was, of course, a look between two equals. And maybe, just maybe, there was already a hint of, tickle me again and I'll smack you. But then, okay, you can tickle. And then we moved on, dropping back into whatever conversation we were having before, probably about reggae, semantics, heartbreak, and Florida. has stayed with me, and it's still with me right now. Because, dear David, dear Don, I think the truth is that you have never looked away. It's as if in catching that glance, I heard a bell ring, and each time I see you together, I can still hear it ringing. Yes, there are new sounds, new pulses, but that clear, simple tone of trust and delight still ripples the air around you. It's there when you tease each other, when you console each other. It's there when, with your incredibly keen minds, you debate the merits of a performance you just saw, letting the other change your mind just a little. Or when you're listening patiently to the troubles of a friend like me. And of course, it's there when you say, I love you, which you in fact do pretty often in public, always with a bit of a smirk, and always very true. Believe me when I tell you, we can all hear that bright tone. It is the sound of you saying yes to each other, with your eyes clear and your hearts ready, over and over again. And while we've all heard you say this yes, in 1,000 little ways, today is the day when you proclaim it. Not just speak it, but promise it. The moment is upon us. But first, I must ask whether anyone present knows of any reason why these two should not be joined in marriage. If so, please speak now, or forever hold your peace.
I object. Oh, Don. Oh, David. My friends, my employers, my landlords. I'm so happy to be here today to celebrate your incredibly impending marriage. What we know of this marriage began as a Bronze Age economic exchange. To put it mildly, a lot has changed since then. Of course, in this country today, marriage is no longer explicitly a financial arrangement, nor is it a business agreement intended to solidify family alliances or obtain lands. It is not a sworn contract meant to assure paternity. It is ideally an act between two people who share romantic love. And in a vacuum, that would be awesome. Despite how much the real world sucks, we do not live in a vacuum. It's impossible to separate this marriage that you're celebrating today from the institution. I love you, David, and I love you, Don, and I love you, David and Don. And after today, the state will recognize your relationship with a package of rights and benefits that should be inalienable and offered to all people regardless of relationship status.
Hear, hear.
It's awesome that you will have these rights, but the benefits have no real connection to each other or to marriage, and they should not have been withheld in the first place subject to the state recognizing your relationship. Applying to the state to endorse a relationship is ceding to the state the power to define, condone, and judge relationships, which is a power they do not have, and it is one I think we are all unwilling to allow them. But it's not just that our government needs to make marriage available to all couples regardless of gender, although they do, and as you know, much good work has been made on this front. In the past few years, Section 3 of DOMA has been struck down. Same-sex marriage is now legal in 19 states and the District of Columbia, and 12 more states' laws are currently in legal limbo. But more is coming. But it is still the fact that what ought to be inalienable rights, hospital visitation from your loved ones, for crying out loud, can be capriciously denied and provided based on the whim of governors and judges. Rights provided on a whim aren't rights, they are political bargaining chips, and our love for each other and the life we build with people we love is worth so much more than that. Whether our partner shares our gender or not, whether the people we're building our home with or planning for the long term with or raising our children with are romantic partners or not, there is not one kind of love more valid or more deserving of recognition, and we still have a long way to go. And while this objection is about the outdated law, it is also about our dominant cultural values. Marriage is not the platonic ideal to which all relationships aspire. It is a choice, and guys, it can be a great one, as you're evidence of, but it should be one choice available out of many recognized as valid as society, but it isn't right now. Right now, as far as society is concerned, you are married or you are not yet married, or you were married and you may be again, and as that cultural notion that marriage is the ideal state becomes further and further codified, our freedom to make other choices steadily erodes. Here is what I'm hoping for, and here is what I know you believe too. What we are working toward is a society open with full rights, full benefits, and full privileges. full social recognition to everyone. To couples married and not. To people single by choice or circumstance. To non-romantic life partners of any sort. To trios and groups and communes. To gay, straight, bi, pan, and omnisexual people. To monogamous and polyamorous and asexual people. To people of any gender and none. To everyone regardless of how and whom they love. But that is work we have for tomorrow. For today, I am so happy to be here with you to celebrate the life and the love you have, the future and the home you're building together. I love you both. I know it's the 6th and I haven't paid a rent yet, I swear it's I spent all my money, and as soon as I work a few shifts, I swear I'll have it for you. I love you both so much.
Are there any other?
I object to the anarchist diatribe. Anyone who would like to discuss my reasons afterwards, I give my love.
If there are no more objections, Don and David have written their own vows, which they will now read to each other. One moment, please.
You are my one. I want to spend the rest of it all with you. I'd like to play the Watson to your Sherlock. Or vice versa. Even though I am a mysterious and independent agent, I recognize that sometimes you are, in fact, the boss. I love you all the way. Even when you are being difficult. Or when I'm being. Or when all the other things are being. It's you I want to clutch to me when it's cold outside. And it's you I want to push me away when I hide away. I want to be married. Along with all the faith, concern, and partnership that desire implies.
David Moo, you were the cutest one and I like you. I want you to come home to be so long.
You got that?
Yeah. I'll be up at night until I'm too hot and I push you away. I will love you all the way, even when you're being difficult. Even when I'm being difficult. Even when all the other things are being difficult. Even though no one is ever the boss of me. I accept that you are occasionally, every now and then, the boss of me. You are the Watson to my Sherlock.
Say it.
And vice versa. You are my one. I want to be married to you. Along with all the faith, concern, and partnership that desire implies.
So first, let us now, all together, affirm Don and David's union. I'll pose a question to which we will answer, we do. do we who are assembled here support this union and affirm that these two should be married today?
We do.
We do. May I have the rings, please? Thank you very much. David, will you repeat after me? With this ring,
With this ring,
I pledge my love and commitment now and forever.
I pledge my love and commitment now and forever.
Dawn, will you repeat after me? With this ring, I pledge my love and commitment now and forever.
With this ring, I pledge my love and commitment now and forever.
And now, by the authority vested problematically in me by the state of New York, witnessed by your friends and family, I have the pleasure to pronounce you husband and wife. If you are in the family photos, please stay here.